الحمد لله الذي قصرت عن رؤيته أبصار الناظرين وعجزت عن نعته أوهام الواصفين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كتب عليكم إذا حضر أحدكم الموت إن ترك خيرا الوصية للوالدين والأقربين بالمعروف حقا على المتقين. صلوات بيجي محمد وعلى محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. The ayat that I recited is from Surah Baqarah, verse number 180. It is those set of ayat which begins with the word kutiba. And in this case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whenever He begins with kutiba, as we began this month, and we recited that ayat, kutiba alaykumus siyam, kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum. Similarly, we see that over there Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was addressing the concept of fasting becoming obligatory. Here, when this ayah begins with kutiba, similar aspect is being deduced. The concept which is being mentioned that if any one of you, death approaches you, it is obligatory upon you to leave a wasiyah, to leave a will, to leave something in writing so that those after you will be able to follow the instructions. How ironic it is that the person who delivered this message, because Quran was revealed on our Prophet, and the one who delivered this message is the one who himself is deprived of the fact that he wanted to leave something in written to his family, to his community, to those who were his followers. And that's what we see in the life of Rasulullah, that toward the end of his life, when he asked to bring him a pen and a paper so that he would write something by which they will never go astray, we see that he was deprived of that. But here, the concept that is being mentioned over here, Allah says, if one of you facing death can leave a legacy, and the word wasiyah is referring toward this legacy, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word khayran al-wasiyah. Not just any type of wasiyah, but a wasiyah which is khayr. So therefore, a legacy. He should endow it to his parents and relatives according to the law, and this is the duty of the pious. We see that how in the end of that ayah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made fasting to be an obligation, He concluded by saying, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you may become what? Muttaqi. Similarly over here, it says, حَقًّا عَلَى الْمُتَّقِينَ. It is indeed a duty upon those who are muttaqin. And therefore we find the relationship between the two ibadat, that while fasting you may attain the spiritual taqwa, similarly by writing a wasiyat you will also be able to attain this taqwa. Salawat bhi Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So it is mustahab, but it becomes wajib. You say, well, we've always heard and read in the books of Islamic law that it is something which is mustahab. It's not something which is obligatory. But it is mustahab initially, but it becomes obligatory in certain situations. Kind of like, if I can give qiyas in this reference, or rather example, shouldn't use the word qiyas, that marriage by itself is not wajib, but it becomes wajib due to circumstances. So merely the concept of izdewaj or marriage itself, nowhere would you find that it says that it is obligatory for one to get married. But there's so many riwayat which are against those who remain single. And therefore, right away, it highlights the importance of getting married. Although it never says anywhere that it is obligatory. Similarly, this wasiyat is mustahab, is an act which is, recommended, highly recommended. And there are so many other acts that are, recommended, but we consider them to be to the state of obligation. For example, giving the dhabiha or the qurbani on Eid al-Adha. I bet many of us, or majority of us, think that it is wajib for those who are capable of giving qurbani. But it is only obligatory on those who are doing hajj. If you have gone for hajj and you're over there and the time comes for qurbani, it is an obligation upon you. It is one of the elements of hajj that you must give qurbani, otherwise your hajj is in doubt. If you can't give qurbani, then obviously there are other things that you can do, but you have to do it. Either that or the whatever the kafara of it is. But for those who have not gone for hajj, or those who are not going to hajj this year, they have done hajj but they're not going to hajj this year, when Eid al-Adha comes upon you, it will not be obligatory upon you to do qurbani. But it is sunnate mu'akkada. That means it is a sunnat which is highly recommended. To the extent that majority of us think that it is an obligation, it is wajib. Therefore, we find that this wasiyat is similar, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that it is mustahab but becomes wajib when one has unpaid debts, when someone has, unpaid huququllah, things that he should have done during his life, but he was unable to do so. And that also serves as the person who left this world, makes the obligations to carry out these obligations for the relatives and the family much more easier. Because as an individual, you see your father, you see your brother, you see your elders, you live with them. You know that what they do and what they don't do to an extent. As far as their obligations are concerned, we've always seen our father pray. We've always seen our father fast. I don't know if my dad probably did hajj. You assume all of these things. And then sometimes there's this assumption whether he missed his salat or he didn't. Whether there was a time that he couldn't pray or he didn't pray. Or there was a time that he didn't fast. Or there was hajj obligatory upon him, but we always thought that, he never had really that much money to go and do hajj. But guess what? He had that much money and he failed to perform it. So there are so many things that you may be unaware of your father or your, loved one. But father especially, because on the elder son, it becomes an obligation. It's not an obligation if your brother, for example, left this world, died, and he had some, huququllah. It's no obligation upon you if your mother, for example, left this world and she did not do some of the wajibat. Yeah, it's okay, and it is recommended that you go ahead and perform it on their behalf because they'll benefit from it. But when is it only obligatory? It's obligatory, it's wajib only when it is a father. And that too on the elder son, not on the other sons. So a lot of time people come and they say, Maulana, the elder son may not be capable of doing it or is heedless of doing it. He doesn't really care about it. Does that mean the obligation then shift to the second one? Or does the obligation come upon the older sister? No. Obligation is only on that one, that was the older son. And for whatever reason that he doesn't carry out this duty, it's not going to transfer over to the second son or the daughter or anyone for that matter. Yes, because you have this pain, you feel that you should do something for your deceased father, for your deceased mother, for your deceased relative, then you can go ahead and perform, the obligations that they may have missed on their behalf, and they will be benefiting from it. So it's not in vain that I go ahead and pray for them and it's not going to be counted. No, it'll be counted, no matter who does it. Many a time, people, they themselves are unable to perform it. The elder son is unable to perform it. He has hard time performing his own wajibat, let alone to go ahead and fulfill the missed obligations of his father, for example. So you can go ahead and hire someone. using the estate that father has left, that money that he has left as taraka, as that, inheritance, use the money to go ahead and pay someone, hire someone to go ahead and perform the missed obligations of your father. That's why this wealth is there. So first you pay off the debts. For example, if he was maqroos, he had borrowed money from somewhere, that's what should be taken care of. The obligations that he didn't perform. And then you go ahead and distribute this wealth amongst those who are the recipient of it. So we see something that by making a will, I'm going to be calling death upon me. I'm going to write my will. That means death will come closer and closer to me. No, death does not come closer if you go ahead and write a will. Death does not come closer if you go ahead and purchase a grave. Death does not come closer if you keep your, kafan next to you. Death does not become closer when you go ahead and write a will and keep it with you all the time. These are some, superstitions that people had in reference to these things, while these things are something which is topmost obligatory, topmost priority. If not obligatory, they're priority, that one should be able to take care and maintain these things in their lifetime. Shouldn't leave it off on someone else to do it for you. Just the same way that you take care of your things in this life and you don't leave it on someone else to do it for you, you make sure that you have already done all of these things prior to departure. And you say, well, I'll do it when I get older. What's the confirmation guarantee that you will get older, or that age that you are hoping that you will get to, and then you'll take care of all of these things? A lot of time these things are delayed, procrastinated for one reason or another, but the sooner a person performs these things, sooner they have performed their duties towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salawat bi Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So not only this wasiyat is not taken in this negative sense that it'll bring death closer, it shows your far-sightedness for that inevitable thing that is going to happen to everyone. Maut happens in front of us all the time. Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. Every soul must taste the agony of death. So when that is yaqini, that is a surety, that is inevitable, then why not go ahead and perform these actions which are associated with it? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this ayah, Kutiba alaykum idha hadara ahadakumul maut, that it is prescribed for you when death approaches one of you, in taraka khayran al wasiyya, that they should leave a wasiyat, a legacy for their walidain, for their aqrabin, bil ma'rufi haqqan ala al muttaqin. This last sentence where it says this is the duty of the pious, bil ma'rufi. Use of the word ma'ruf reflects on the fact that it is something which is aql pasand. That means your aql also accepts it. Aql also likes it. Your intellect also approves of it. And that's the reason the word ma'ruf is being used. Amr bil ma'ruf wa nahi anil munkar. We understood the word ma'ruf over there. Ma'ruf, something which is urf, which is known, and which is something which is good. So the concept of goodness is being explained in this ayah. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not make it so difficult for you. So a lot of time you say, these laws are very complex. How do I go about doing something like this? No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already done the math for you. The science behind it has already been taken care of. All you are responsible for is that 1/3 that you go ahead and stipulate however you want to use it. You want to use it for your own sake, for your own, good deeds. You want to put it into some sort of charity, or you can go ahead and use this to supplement someone else's inheritance. The question that is raised a lot of time, that how come the wife gets only 1/8 from husband? Well, husband gets a lot more from the wife if she leaves the world. But why is it that wife is getting 1/8, especially when there are children? If there aren't any children, she gets 1/4. But if there are children, then the share would be 1/8. This is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you the opportunity to show your real affection and love to her. That 1/3 that he has given you, that you can stipulate however you want to, go ahead and supplement this 1/3 on top of that 1/8. And nobody's going to stop you. Right away you have boosted and you have brought her share up, right? From 1/8, you add another 1/3 to it, and her share will be pretty much close to, or even sometime more than, if there are, multiple children, more than the children. So this is where it is upon you. For example, sometimes they say, well, how come the daughter receives half of that which is the boy receives, or the son receives? And there's a logic behind it, and there's an explanation behind it, which Sharia gives, which Islam gives, which Ma'asumin have provided to us. But at the same time, before I give you that reasoning, you can use this 1/3. If you feel for your daughters that they will be receiving half, you can go ahead and give this 1/3 to your daughter. And stipulate that after my death, aside from the share that my daughter is going to get, she will also receive, for example, this 1/3. And therefore you have given her even more than the sons, right? But the reason that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept it this way, there's a wisdom behind it. He says, when we made husbands and men to be the ones who are caretakers, that it is their obligation to provide. It's not an obligation on a woman to provide for the family. It is an obligation on men to provide. Now there may be some men who are ineligible to provide, and that's their inability. That's their incompetence. But the fact of the matter is that it is their obligation and it is their wajib, just like it is their wajib to pray 5 times a day. It is their wajib to go ahead and fast. It is also their wajib to go ahead and provide for their family a standard of living which is, to their status. It is wajib upon them. It's not a highly recommended thing. It's not sunnat-e muakkada. No, it is obligatory. It's wajib. It doesn't get any clearer than that. Therefore, when it's an obligation on the men to go ahead and do so, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects them to provide as well. So as a father, you will be taking care of your family. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stipulated twice as much as the girls, so that when he gets married tomorrow, he will be able to take care of his family because he has to provide. Whereas the daughter, when she gets married, she doesn't have the obligation to provide to the family. And she will also be receiving from her husband. Salawat biji Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the philosophy of this wasiyat is, from the law of inheritance, not only family members benefit, but those unexpected individuals that may not have thought of anything good coming from you, they might also gain something from it, which you can again use your 1/3 to give it to whoever it is that you will and wish. And it will not be considered jawr, it will not be considered a zulm, it will not be unjust to go ahead and give it to whoever it is that you deem or you wish to. Sometimes person couldn't do anything good in their life. This is an opportunity, by writing this wasiyat, to go ahead and do something good after your death. The fact that you have this majlis for Isal Sawab. Person may not have attended, I'm not talking about this particular marhum, I'm saying just in general. There are some people, and you'll be surprised, who may never have attended a majlis, who may never have hosted a majlis. But the fact that they left this world, look at this beautiful custom that we have an Isal Sawab majlis for them. We hold the Isal Sawab majlis for their soim. We hold the Isal Sawab for their chehlum. And when we hold a yearly Isal Sawab majlis for them. This is a custom that even if that person himself never hosted a majlis in their life, or in some cases never even attended a majlis, now merely after their death, majlis is being conducted on their behalf. So this is right away, you see that they are benefiting from it. So sometimes someone might not have been able to do something good in their life as far as charity is concerned. No, this is their opportunity. That 1/3 you're leaving, you don't need it, you're leaving this world anyway, you go ahead and give it to a charity, right away you will be a beneficiary from it. Will is not limited, and it includes all the debts and the trusts of this deceased, he had, and so that he reaches the bargah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with his record completely clean. Not so that, he has, 3 years of fast on his record remaining, or he has a few years of salat that he did not perform, or that hajj that was wajib upon him that he didn't do, or that khums or zakat that was obligatory upon him that he did not pay. All of these things could be taken care from this wasiyat that is emerging. Salawat Deji Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Some of the rawayat that we find in this reference. First one from our holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who said, and this will explain, the ayat may not have done justice to convey the importance of this wasiyat, but this hadith of the Holy Prophet, because ayat are sometimes very difficult to decipher, to go ahead and decrypt what is being said in the ayat. We just go ahead and translate. We don't know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means by it. But when hadith is explained, it is lengthy, it's self-explanatory, it explains things in a very easy manner. So we see this hadith from the Prophet. He says, "Ma yanbaghi لِإِمْرِئٍ مُسْلِمٍ أَنْ يَبِيتَ لَيْلَةً إِلَّا وَوَصِيَّتُهُ تَحْتَ رَاسِهِ." It is not okay, appropriate for an individual, for a Muslim, to sleep at night except that his wasiyat is under his head. That means under his pillow. That means what? That means it's ready, it's handy. What do you keep under your pillow? Something which back in the people used to keep their watches, wristwatch for example, right under your pillow. So when you wake up, you pull it out and you look at the time. These days, you don't really need that because your phones are resting right next to you, so you can just pick up the phone and you can just look at it. Hopefully you don't keep your phones under your pillows, and that would be very detrimental and could be problematic towards your health and your head. Keep it away from your head because of all the waves that are running through it. But there's something important which is handy. For example, you may keep the keys to some locker, whatever, something which is important. So you keep that right in your right next to you, which is handy to you, that you can right away pull out. And therefore, Rasulullah is saying it is not appropriate for a Muslim to sleep at night except that his wasiyat is under his pillow. وَمَنْ مَاتَ بِغَيْرِ وَصِيَّةٍ مَاتَ مِيتَةً جَاهِلِيَّةً. And a person who left this world without leaving a wasiyat, it is as if he has left a death of an ignorant. Similar riwayat you've heard, Man mata wa lam ya'rif imam zamanihi mata mitatan jahiliya. Person who dies and does not recognize the imam of his time left this world as an ignorant. Similarly, if you leave without a wasiyat, that's the kalam of the Holy Prophet. In Nahjul Balagha, we find this kalam of Amirul Mu'mineen that he also did his wasiyat. Wasiyatahu lil Hasan wal Hussein lamma darabahu Ibn Muljim. That his wasiyat to his children when Ibn Muljim had struck. And we gave a few points of the wasiyat of Imam as well. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends his la'nat. He said, Usikuma bitaqwallah wa illa tabghiya ad-dunya. That Imam is also mentioning, this wasiyat that Amirul Mu'mineen has in letter number 47 that you can go ahead and read. That Imam explains that he mentions the important things. So there are two types of wasiyah. One wasiyat is your obligations that you have missed. One wasiyat is in regards to the wealth that you are leaving behind. And another wasiyat could be in regards to the advices that you want to give to your children, or particularities about how should your rights and the last rituals should be taken care of, for example. And these were some of the things that we find in the wasiyat of even Bi Fatmatul Zahra as well as Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wassalam. There are three groups that inherit the wealth. Husband and wife always inherit from one another. The first group is the immediate family, which is your children and your parents. So that's the first tier. Second group, if none of these are alive, would be your brothers and your sisters. And the third group would be your paternal and maternal uncles and aunts. That's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have distributed these three different groups. We find, then I address some of these issues as well, that in Shia fiqh, they don't allow a share of property for women. So you'll come across a lot of time when people study this, they said, how come, the wife does not get any property, any immovable property. She can get from the wealth, but not from the property. And the explanation is that that's not they say, well, how come women don't receive the property? He said, it's not the women entirely. So the mothers would receive, the sisters would receive, and those women would receive. It's only when it comes to the wife that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have stipulated this way. And the reason that they have given, and they misquote the riwayat, they say, well, there's a riwayat in Usul Kafi which says that women don't receive inheritance, women don't inherit from the property, it's in Usul Kafi. Then why is it that the Shias are demanding fadak for Bibi Fatma Zahra? Right? So at one point your riwayat mentioned that women don't inherit the property. At one point you're saying Bibi Fatma did not get her right in fadak. So the riwayat is misquoted and it's misunderstood. It basically says, innal mar'ata la tarith min tarakati zawjiha min turbati darin aw ardin. That she does not, the wife does not receive from this immovable property. Now, you can go ahead and bestow it during your lifetime, but after it, she does not, because it is a possibility that she will remarry, and this property, which could be your family heritage, would leave from your family. Salawat biji Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And these were some of the rules when it comes to the wasiyat, when it comes to the inheritance. So from this we understand how important it is a person takes care of this obligation, this wajib that is upon them before they leave. They make extra effort to carry this duty out, especially in this part of the world where, it's not an Islamic country where you can take it to, for example, the court. They will go ahead and distribute however they will. So you want to make sure that the obligations are carried out according to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is how we find that all of our masumeen, they gave this wasiyah. In the recent majalis, I constantly mentioned the wasiyat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. In Ayyam Fatimiyya, we recited the wasiyah of Janab Fatma Zahra as well. And we find the wasiyah of Masumeen. So not only that they have explained in their words, but they also did it with their actions as well. But the wasiyah that Amir al-Mu'mineen leaves, is a person who was struck, and that's when he began his wasiyah, because he knew that he would have a few days on his hand to go ahead and give these instructions to his children. And also, Imam may have given the will ahead of time, but this was the time when all of the children were gathered, especially when every family member is close by. Usually when death comes closer, and when family understands that, they will not be around for long, they come and start visiting. This is the best time to leave the family with the golden words of advice. You know what our sixth Imam said when he left this world? He said, La yanalu shafa'atana man istakhaffa bis salat. That our shafa'at will not reach out to those who take namaz lightly. I don't have time to go in the explanation of namaz as the time of namaz is approaching. But see how Imam is given this piece of advice. That the most important thing for Imam at the time that he's leaving this world, that's when you make the most important. For us, it would be at least that's when we are more focused. Imam leaves us with this word of advice. And we understand it so because these were the things that Amir al-Mu'mineen was doing at the last moment when he was struck by the sword. How beautifully the poet has said that Amir al-Mu'mineen, in regards to him, that nobody has the sharaf that Ali has. Bikabe veladat, be masjid shahadat. That the veladat of Ali is in Kaaba, and the shahadat of Ali, it's taking place in the masjid. And similarly, how he was in the form, in the mode of ibadat, he was doing this sajda. And that's how you find that Imam Hussein in Karbala as well. When Imam is leaving his family, what does he say to Janabe Zainab? Ya ukhti, la tansini fi salat al-layl. Oh my sister, do not forget me in your namaz hai shab. Because Imam knows the Zainab, forget about the wajibat, that she definitely prays that even in these difficult times, she will not forget her brother in namaz shab, that even at that time she will be able to perform Salatul Layl. But when Imam Zainul Abidin saw his aunt praying sitting down in the Zindan of Sham, he said, "Oh Pupi Amma, why is it that I see you that you're performing your namaz sitting down?" She responded, "Oh my son, so little food is brought to us that sometimes children come back for a second, they are still hungry. I deprive myself from eating, I save it for them so that when they come and ask for, I would have something to give them, but that leaves me with nothing, and I haven't eaten in a while, and that is the reason I am performing this salat while I'm sitting down." Allah la'natullah al-qawm al-zalimin. Wa sayalamu alladhina zalamu ayyamun qalibin yanqalibun. Please recite a Surah Fatiha for marhum Sayyid Shabir Hussain Bukhari.